Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are live in full effect with the one, the only. This man really does not need any introduction. We got the legendary D.O.C. live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm too blessed to be stressed, brother. How about yourself?
I am doing great, man. I'm doing great. I got to say, a phenomenal day today, and I've been really looking forward to this opportunity to welcome you on my radio station. I've been a fan for many years, so I just got to say thank you for years of amazing music.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
But I want to take you back to the beginning of your career in the entertainment industry, and I've always wanted to know, like, what actually inspired and sparked the legendary career of the D.O.C.
Just the music itself, man. You know, I'm a fan of the music just like everybody else. And when it hit Dallas, it affected me, and it was something that was really interesting to me, and I dove headfirst into it.
And I gotta say as well, you know what I mean? Like, Dallas has such a rich hip hop scene as well, you know what I mean? I'm really glad that individuals like yourselves really shedded some light onto that as well.
Yeah, it's starting to come around. It's as it should. You know, there's a lot of really talented kids down here.
And also, as well, speaking of a kid, man, back in the day as a teenager, you were actually a member of the Phila Fresh crew, where you went under the name Doc T. I was wondering, what's the story of the formation of that amazing group, and of course, how did you actually meet the other members?
The other guy that was the other rapper in the group was his name is Fresh K. We grew up in the same projects together, and Dr. Rock, the DJ, was actually from California, and he was actually in the World Class Working Crew before Dre got there, and so that's how sort of all of that shit came together by Dr. Rock being affiliated with those guys.
And I have to ask as well, like, what actually made you decide to change your name from Doc T to actually the D.O.C.?
Well, when I moved to California, it was just a way for me to sort of associate myself with the N.W.A. movement, because they had the periods in there in their name. I thought if I added periods in my name, that it would sort of solidify that sort of combination.
And also as well, after you actually signed to Eazy-E's Ruthless Records, like I mentioned, like we talked about, you actually took the name the D.O.C. But I was wondering, how did that record deal actually come to be? And of course, how did you actually initially get connected with Eazy-E and the rest of the members of N.W.A.?
Yeah, like I said before, the guy Dr. Rock was a part of the World Class Working Group before he came to Dallas. When those early West Coast records started to bubble, Dr. Rock was like the #1 DJ here in Dallas. He started playing a lot of those records. Those guys started coming down, being on his show, and that's how I met those guys.
And I gotta say as well, you actually had such a huge part in N.W.A. as well. And the one thing I've always wanted to know, when Fuck the Police actually dropped, like, because I know the movie portrayed, like, you know, quite a bit about it, but at the end of the day, Hollywood's Hollywood. I gotta ask, what was the actual energy like when Fuck the Police and the whole Straight Outta Compton record dropped? Because that was totally a game changer, not only for West Coast hip hop, but just for all of hip hop in general.
Yeah, it was a moment in time, bro. You know, it was a beautiful time. Everybody had a lot of fun, and those records were really exciting. And just like you said, it changed sort of the trajectory of where rap was going. You know, and I'm pretty proud to be involved and to have played my part in making that music.
And I have to ask you as well, were you actually there on tour with them when like the FBI came in and was trying to censor N.W.A. from doing those lyrics? And if so, like, was it kind of like the movie, or like did that Detroit riot actually happen? And if so, like, what was that like, just trying to get away from the cops at that certain time?
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. But they didn't catch us at the arena. When
say as well, you know what I mean? Like they should have realized trying to censor N.W.A. wasn't really going to happen. They're pretty much wasting their time with that piece of paper.
Well, the guys weren't doing them. There are certain songs that the guys had to agree not to do in order for the tour to even take place. So they weren't doing the song. But when the police showed up and started acting like real assholes, then the guys was like, fuck that, we doing it, and did it.
And you know what? I got to say, you guys most definitely got your point across, because that song is still today one of the biggest anti-police anthems of all time, and I don't think anything in this world will ever actually top that song.
Yeah, it's going to always be relevant, at least until we get to a place in society where the police aren't such big bullies.
And also as well, in the year 1989, you actually released your debut solo album, No One Can Do It Better, which in my personal opinion has one of my favorite joints of all time, which is The Formula. But I have to ask you, what's the story behind that album, and what was the creative process behind it as well?
So it's all sort of the same moment in time. And so it's with just young kids making records, bro. Like, for the most part, it's just me and Dre locked in the studio, and he's making beats, and I'm writing raps, and we just laying songs. And if it feels good, we do it. If it doesn't, we don't.
And I have to ask you, how long did it take you guys to actually write and record that record? Because I've heard stories that it didn't take very long at all.
Yeah, you're talking about maybe 3-4 weeks worth of work, if that.
And I got to say as well, it's pretty astonishing as well. You know, 3 to 4 weeks of work, and it's one of the biggest records in hip hop still today. Like, people actually, if you look at everybody's top 5 hip hop records of all time, No One Can Do It Better is most definitely always in the list.
Well, it's a blessing, bro. I take no credit for it. You know, it's a G.O.D. thing. It's not a D.O.C. thing. I'm just lucky enough to be the guy that gets to walk the path.
And the one last N.W.A. Day story, question I have, I was wondering, what's one of you, because as we already spoke about, you had one of the most memorable runs within N.W.A. You know, when people hear the D.O.C., they always think N.W.A. as well. So I got to ask you, what's one of your most memorable moments just being a part and affiliated during those times?
There's nothing really overwhelmingly just sticks out. It's just it was a whole big ride, you know. It was and all of it was fun. All of it was great. Even the bad parts were great. You know, it was really like I said, a moment in time. All of those guys were super talented and really incredible young men, and I'm blessed to have known all of them.
And I gotta say, they most definitely changed the hip-hop culture forever, man. You know what I mean? Like, their music will live on forever, man. Like, Eazy-E going from an individual that didn't know how to rap to being considered the godfather of hip-hop, man, is just astonishing in my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You know, he was a lucky guy. You know, well, he's a blessed guy. He had a lot of really talented dudes around him that was working with him and for him. And it all worked out pretty good.
And also, after you end up leaving Ruthless Records, you actually signed with the newly founded Death Row Records. I was wondering, what's the story behind that? And, of course, what actually made you decide to jump over to Death Row Records at that current time?
Well, there were problems with me and Easy, me and Ruthless, and money. And I just decided I wanted to try something else. And so Suge and I decided that we would start a record label together, you know. And not too long after that, Dre joined us, and then the rest, as they say, is history.
And also as well, you know what I mean? Like, Death Row Records, but when you guys first started it, because obviously every record label has its beginning, you know what I mean? You're always at the bottom, you always got to work your way to the top. When you actually first, created Death Row with Suge Knight, did you think that Death Row Records would be such a phenomenon as it is today?
No way. I mean, we always think you're gonna make records and you're gonna do well, but no, I don't think anybody would have ever thought that it would be so freaking huge. Otherwise, we would have definitely handled our business a little better.
And I gotta say as well, you know what I mean? Even in the early days, like Death Row put out some phenomenal projects. I remember as well, you actually did some work on Dr. Dre's The Chronic, and I have to ask you, what was it like actually? Just because obviously, you know, you guys have been working previously on N.W.A stuff, obviously, but just working one-on-one with Dre in like a new environment and a new studio and a new record label, like what was it like just taking part in The Chronic alongside Dr. Dre?
Yeah, it's all the same sort of vibe, bro. You know, nothing really changes once you get the formula set. And so we just work well together. And it's just plugging in different artists. But it's basically the same formula. You're doing it the same way. Everybody gets in. And we just have fun together. You know, you develop the camaraderie and the friendship that makes you feel like your family, and you got skin in the game, and everybody wants everybody else to win, and you push each other, and that's it.
And also, you actually had the opportunity to actually work on Snoop Dogg's debut album titled Doggy Style. I was wondering, what was it like working with a young Snoop Dogg, like fresh on the scene? Because he must have, you know what I mean? I don't think he was really into weed too much back then as much as he is today. Like, what was it like working with like a freshly new Snoop Dogg on the hip hop scene?
Snoop Dogg has always been a phenomenal person. Even before he's a phenomenal artist, he's just a good guy. And he really took to the lessons that I called myself giving him. He was a great student, and he didn't take any of it for granted. And you could tell today that he was just meant to be an icon because he fits so perfectly into the position. Probably the most well-known rapper ever.
And were you actually there that day that Dr. Dre actually brought Snoop Dogg to like Death Row Studios? And if so, like, because I've heard stories, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, you see movies, you see documentaries, like a lot of people talk stuff, and also it's Hollywood too, right? But when you were actually there and saw Snoop Dogg come in, like, what was the energy like? Because I know during those times, you know, Death Row was a very, you know, different place to just walk into. It wasn't like Atlantic Records, you can walk in with a demo, right? Like, what was the energy like when Snoop actually first came to Death Row?
Well, it wasn't Death Row when Snoop first came. It was another name, and it was just a studio, and it wasn't a whole lot of people there. It was just, you know, the family members, Dre and myself and Warren G and a lot of those other guys. A lot of the other people on the Chronic hadn't showed up yet. We was just sort of testing the water. But Snoop Dogg came in, and it's just his mannerism, the way he was rapping, and just the character that he is, made it really easy to see that he had something really special. And Dre was the first one to see it real well. I guess Warren G was the first one to see it, but Dre recognized it really quickly and sold me on it. And so after I found out that Snoop was the mission, Snoop was going to be the key, we all started putting our energy into Doggy Dogg being the best he could possibly be.
And Mike, I gotta say, you guys most definitely did put your heart and soul into Snoop Doggy Dogg, man, because when Doggy Style dropped, that was one of the hottest hip-hop records out.
Yeah, he's like I said, probably the most iconic rapper ever is Snoop Doggy Dogg. I mean, because I would say outside of Eminem, he's probably the most well-known rapper of all time.
And also as well, I gotta ask you this, because I know a lot of individuals really touch base on this record, but in January 23rd, 1996, you actually dropped Helter Skelter, which is a phenomenal record by you, by the way. I just have to ask you, what's the story and inspiration behind that phenomenal record? Because I know you've been through a lot of trials and tribulations within your career. So coming out with a second album, like, was it actually difficult to really put that out? And if so, like, where can our listeners actually check that out today if they haven't already done so?
You know what? I'm not sure where you can grab Helter Skelter from. It's sort of like it's an eclectic piece of art. It's got to be a collector's piece because you can't get it anywhere. But it was actually a really rough period in my life. Dre and I just separated. We was did me justice.
And I gotta say as well, like I really do love. I believe it's track 15 or 16. They're called the Brand New Formula. I really love the twist that you actually put on it. You know what I mean? But I was always wondering, are we ever gonna hear another D.O.C. record at some point in your career? Because I do know like you obviously moved on and were doing other things. But do you think you ever might go back to it for one more record?
Anything is possible, bro. I'm always working. You know, and if something crosses my plate and it sounds good and it feels good, why not?
That's most definitely true. And that's what I mean. A lot of people always say, you know, I'm done music, but you never know. One day you could wake up and be like, hey, you know what? I really want to do another record. So, you know, if it happens, it happens. But I do want to say, if it doesn't, just thank you for years of amazing music, man. You most definitely made a positive impact on the entire hip hop culture.
Man, thank you so much for that, bro. I really appreciate it. It was, you know, it was a lot, but I'm much better as a man for the journey, and I'm really proud of some of the stuff that came out of it.
And also, I think it was about Instagram said it was 100 weeks ago. There wasn't an exact date on the picture, but I saw a photo of yourself and Dr. Dre in the studio together. I was wondering if you can tell us a bit more about that, and of course, like, what do you guys actually currently have in the works right now?
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the works. I don't want to talk about anybody's stuff, my stuff or his stuff, it's because that's his business, and when he's ready to talk about it, he will. As far as the stuff that I might be currently playing around with, I'm not really ready to talk about it, but I think, you know, that I think next year is going to be a good year for me.
And by the sounds of it, it's going to be a good year for hip-hop as well, you know what I mean? I guarantee all our fans worldwide right now listening are probably sitting on the edge of their seat being like, okay, we're listening to D.O.C.
Yeah, man.
But also, I gotta ask as well, because, you know what I mean, like, recently, as we already know, Dr. Dre, like, you know, we almost lost Dr. Dre this year, you know, to sum it up, which is very terrible. I just gotta ask you, how is he doing, man, like, personally? Because, you know what I mean, like, obviously I saw he's back in the studio. I just hope, you know, Dr. Dre is back to 100% and just doing what Dr. Dre is good at doing, which is producing.
Dre is fantastic. He had a scare, but I imagine that whatever it was, it really put him on a level that he needs to be on. He's got his mind back on trying to be happy and healthy, and he has my full support. You know, I'm always on call for him, and so whenever he wants me, I'm there. But like I said, I don't want to speak too much about what he's doing. But as far as his health, he's in fantastic shape.
And I'm glad to hear he's doing better. I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw that TMZ report, I was hoping TMZ went back to their bullcrap when they used to publish fake stories back in the day, because I was hoping that was fake.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, it threw everybody for a loop. But the guy's a blessed guy. He's always been a blessed guy. And the warning is that, you know, we're getting on up there in age and we have to pay more attention to our health.
And also, the one thing I have to ask you, because I know, like, Dr. Dre, he was also a co-producer, he's one of the producers for the Straight Outta Compton movie. I was always wanting to ask you, because I was wondering, like, were you actually, like, there when that movie was made, and were you happy with the portrayal of your character?
I thought it was a good movie. And, you know, I didn't have anything to do with the movie. That was their production. And so I was there to support them. And if they're happy with it, I'm happy with it. You know, it was a good movie. I went to see it at the theater and enjoyed it.
And I gotta say, I most definitely enjoyed it as well. There was some stuff. Me personally, I'm a huge N.W.A. fan, and there's even stuff that I've seen in that movie that I had to actually go back and be like, is this Hollywood or is this real? And I did my research, and I actually found out stuff about you guys that I didn't even know. And I was like, damn, man, I call myself a super fan. I better get myself in check.
Yeah, it was a great movie, and I was really proud of everybody that had anything to do with it. It did N.W.A. justice.
I really enjoyed the individual they casted for Eazy-E, man. Like, at some points in the movie, you actually, in my opinion, you actually got lost being like, wow, is that really Eazy-E? Like, you know what I mean? He really took on the role of Eric very, very, very well.
Yeah, he did. He's a great young actor, and he's a friend of mine. I really like him a lot. And all those guys are really good guys, and the cast was amazing, and it was really a cool movie, man. It's like I said, even that's a moment in time because that thing will be around forever.
And one of the last questions I have for you, D.O.C, is, you know, because like as we already know, you know, everybody knows you are a legend within hip hop, but what is some great advice you can actually give some of these inspiring hip hop artists that actually want to turn their career into a legendary career, just like yourself?
Well, believe in your art and enjoy yourself, man. And if it's meant for you, it's coming. Nobody can keep it from you, not even you. If it's meant for you, if it's meant to happen for you, just work hard for it. Don't take any of it for granted because you can have it today and it'll be gone the next day. You know, you have to be thankful and be grateful for all of the blessings that you get where this music is concerned. And don't take shit for granted because just as quickly as it comes, it can go.
And also, D.O.C, this is the time quickly in the interview, right before I wrap things up, that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but of course your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything the D.O.C if they're not already doing so. But we are an old school hip hop radio station, so I really hope our listeners are already following you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anybody in particular I want to give a shout out to. You know, anybody who is within earshot of my voice that rock with me. I'm saying what's up to you. You know, and the Instagram post is XCDOC. And my Facebook thing? The Facebook thing is Doc Curry. But you know, I'm not hard to find. But I'm laying low. I don't do a whole lot of stuff. I'm just here to support my guys and any of the young people that I can find their way in this game.
But I gotta say, D.O.C, very quickly before we part ways here, just thank you for years of amazing music, man. I remember, you know, back in the day as a kid, you know what I mean, with your album, bro, you know what I mean? No One Can Do It Better. That album really made a positive impact on my life, man. You know, I went through a lot of hard times, and your music and N.W.A.'s music really helped me get through that, so thank you.
Wow, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that, bro. Glad that the music was of use to you, and that you made it through the drama. And believe me, the pleasure was all ours.
But I gotta say, D.O.C, thank you so much again, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night, and stay safe out there in Texas. Hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, have yourself a wonderful weekend.
Sounds good, bro. God bless and thank you very much. Take care.
You're most certainly welcome, and you as well, D.O.C.